Mayors demand Fed officers withdraw from cities. Fox News alert mirrors in some of the nation's biggest cities are slamming President Trump's move to deploy federal law enforcement officers, demanding an immediate removal from their communities. Here to weigh in is Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew DiPolito. Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Steve. And Griff. Good morning, Brian. Today, we're glad to have him. So I've been reading all about whether or not it's legal for the president to send in federal officers into local cities. And everyone has a different opinion. I mean, Chad Wolf at DHS points to 40 U.S. Code 1315 says that DHS can deputize officers for duty in connection with the protection of property owned or occupied by the federal government and persons on the property. A law professor at UC Austin is saying it is the prerogative of federal government to enforce federal law and protect federal property. But it's not their job to be a general police force for all crimes. What do you say? Is it legal? Well, it is legal depending on what they do. My views would be closer to the professor at the University of Texas. I don't know who this president is. Laid off a statement that. Okay, professor. Later can actually both of them are correct. I mean, the federal government can use federal assets to protect federal property. Stated differently, the Department of Homeland Security can send police into Oregon to protect the federal courthouse in Oregon. Use that as an example. But here's where the professor is right. They can't enforce the general criminal law. They can't supplement or replace the police. They can't go throughout the streets and say, hey, you're committing a crime. We're going to arrest you. They certainly can't do what they've been doing in Oregon, which is arresting people without a warrant and without probable cause, holding them for a few hours and then letting them go. So they have to be restrained, and they have to confine their activity to the federal property. Kenzie, I travel from the airport to the federal property, of course. Can they travel from the federal property to wherever they're spending the evening? Of course. But their law enforcement duties must absolutely be confined to the protection of federal assets. So says the Constitution, which leaves the general police power in the hands of the cities and states. Right. Should federal judge, we know that the cities aren't enforcing the law. And I can't tell you how many times they've tried to burn down that courthouse. They keep lighting it on fire. There's an item in the Hill today that says the Department of Homeland Security has expanded the authority of personnel to collect information on people they say are threatening to harm or destroy public monuments. So that would explain why we know that it is a federal law. If you destroy a federal monument, and now apparently what they're trying to do is because the communities want to help them identify these anarchists in the organized elements of it, is they've expanded their authority to do it. Well, there's nothing wrong with protecting federal monuments. This is a big issue with President Trump. And it should be. These are assets in which the federal government has invested a lot of money, and they are therefore memory to memorialize whoever they. The monument has to, but they can't. That is the federal agents. First of all, they have to wear uniforms that identify them. They can't wear fatigues with a piece of tape that says police. Why not? Because if you have an encounter with one of them, you're entitled to know the name of the human being with whom you're having an encounter, like the Navy veteran whose hand was smashed by one of them when he said, "What is your constitutional authority to be here?" He doesn't know who to sue because the person didn't identify himself. They can't get in the slippery slope, Steve, of gradually enforcing local law and gradually replacing police. I understand the president's motivation, and I share some of it. Two of these cities, Seattle and Portland, are a mess, but they have chosen political leaders who wanted to be a mess. And the way to clean it up is through the political method, not through the use of federal force. Hey, Judge, quickly, let me take you to a different topic, and that is the Flynn case continuing now expected to the D.C. Court of Appeals in D.C. We'll hear and bang the entire hearing to dismiss the case against him. Here's what Sidney Paulson's attorneys fouls in a vindictive animus brief. It's quite extensive. She says Judge Sullivan's a stubborn disagreement with the government's decision to dismiss the case does not come for the right to contest it himself or through his animus. His actions smack of invective, animus against General Flynn, and judicial overreach.